The massive alien ship hung in the sky above New York City like a silver cloud. People stood in streets, on rooftops, and at windows, looking up with wonder and fear. This was humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Confederation. Captain. Mira Chen adjusted her formal uniform as she waited on the landing pad of the United Nations spaceport. At 35 years old, she had not expected to become Earth's chief negotiator with aliens. Her background in international diplomacy had suddenly become interplanetary diplomacy. "Are you ready for this, Captain?" General Hayes asked, standing beside her with perfect military posture. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens for the first time," Mira said with a small smile. She watched as a smaller craft detached from the mothership and began its descent. The landing craft touched down with barely a sound. Steam hissed from vents as a door slid open, revealing a ramp. Down came three figures that were clearly not human. High Commander Zextral led the group. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin and 4 arms, he moved with fluid grace despite Earth's gravity. His large eyes scanned the welcoming committee with what seemed like disappointment. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," Zextral said, his translator device converting his clicks and whistles into clear English. "I am High Commander Zextral of the Galactic Confederation, representing over 300 spacefaring civilizations." Mira stepped forward. "On behalf of all nations of Earth, we welcome you to our world. I am Captain Mira Chen, appointed by the United Nations to serve as Earth's chief negotiator." Zextral's upper set of arms made a dismissive gesture. "Your planet has only recently achieved basic interplanetary travel. The Confederation Council debated whether your species was developed enough to join our alliance." General Hayes tensed beside Mira, but she kept her diplomatic smile in place. "We look forward to learning from more advanced civilizations while also sharing our unique perspectives." The ceremony moved inside to the grand meeting hall, decorated with flags from all Earth nations. World leaders and important officials filled the room, watching the historic moment unfold. Cameras broadcast the event to billions of people around the globe. "The Confederation operates on principles of mutual benefit," Zextral explained as they sat at the large round table. "Advanced species provide technology and protection. Younger species provide resources and support." "And where would Earth fit in this arrangement?" Mira asked carefully. "Your species would begin at entry level, of course," Zextral said. "You would have access to some technologies, but would primarily serve the needs of the Confederation." Thomas Reeves, Earth's intelligence officer, frowned as he listened from his position behind Mira. Something felt wrong about this whole meeting. He quietly tapped on his tablet, reviewing information they had gathered about the aliens. He noticed a detail they had missed before: a classification code next to Earth's entry, DW7. Meanwhile, Zextral had opened an ornate container. "As is our custom, we offer a gift to new members." He removed a crystal tablet glowing with strange symbols. "This is the deed to a small planet at the edge of your solar system. We call it Outpost 93. It is yours." A murmur went through the Earth delegation. Mira studied the offered gift carefully. "This planet," she said slowly. "Is it currently claimed by anyone else?" Zextral's 4 hands twitched slightly. "It is in a contested border region with the Arcturian Empire, but the Confederation has established mining operations there." Mira glanced at General Hayes, who gave her a subtle headshake. She turned back to Zextral. "While we appreciate the gesture, High Commander, Earth does not accept territorial bribes," she said firmly but politely. "We would prefer to build our relationship on mutual respect rather than being drawn into existing conflicts." The room went silent. Zextral's translator device made a strange noise as he spoke rapidly in his native language to his assistants. Then he turned back to Mira, his large eyes narrowed. "You refuse our ceremonial gift?" he asked, his voice suddenly cold. "We respectfully decline involvement in territorial disputes," Mira clarified. "We look forward to other forms of cooperation." Zextral stood abruptly, all 4 arms rigid at his sides. "No species has ever rejected a Confederation gift. This is a direct challenge to our authority." Mira rose as well, maintaining her calm. That was not our intention, High Commander. Perhaps this is a cultural misunderstanding we can— Misunderstanding? Zexatral's voice boomed through the hall. You have just rejected our authority and claimed superiority to the Confederation. That's not what she said at all. General Hayes stepped forward protectively. Zexatral's assistants backed away nervously as their commander's skin darkened to deep navy blue. He pointed at Mira with two of his right arms. Congratulations, he hissed. You just declared war on the deadliest species in the galaxy. With that, he turned and marched back toward his ship, his assistants hurrying after him. The Earth delegation erupted in chaos. World leaders shouted questions and demands. Security teams moved to high alert. Mira stood frozen, trying to process how a diplomatic meeting had just turned into a declaration of war. Thomas Reeves rushed to her side. Captain, I found something. They've classified Earth as DW7 in their database. What does that mean? She asked, still watching the aliens board their ship. It means Death World Category 7, Thomas explained. They believe we evolved on a planet so dangerous that we must be inherently deadly ourselves. As the alien craft lifted off, governments worldwide began emergency sessions. Military forces went on high alert. Space agencies prepared to defend Earth's orbital stations. Mira Chen stood at the window watching the Confederation fleet withdraw from Earth orbit, the weight of unexpected war settling on her shoulders. She had only wanted to avoid being manipulated into a territorial conflict. What do we do now? General Hayes asked, joining her at the window. We prepare, she said simply, and we learn everything we can about an enemy that calls itself the deadliest species in the galaxy, but is apparently afraid of us. In orbit above Earth, High Commander Zextral reviewed footage of humans engaged in various activities: military training, contact sports, survival expeditions. Activities that would kill most Confederation species. Begin preparations for the first strike, he ordered his fleet commanders. These Deathworlders must be contained before they realize their true potential. Little did he know, the species he had just declared war against had spent their entire evolutionary history surviving against impossible odds. Humanity was about to show the galaxy why Earth was classified as a death world and why its inhabitants had survived anyway. 3 months had passed since the disastrous first contact. Earth had been busy preparing for the war nobody wanted. Mining ships were quickly turned into battle vessels. Civilian spacecraft were fitted with weapons. Every nation pooled their resources to defend their planet. Commander Liana Vasquez stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiant, formerly a mining vessel that had worked the asteroid belt. Now it carried railguns and missile launchers. Her crew was a mix of military personnel and civilian miners who knew the ship best. Status report, Liana ordered, looking at the tactical display showing the outer edges of the Mars orbit. All systems ready, Commander, her first officer reported. The other 5 ships are in position. Intelligence had warned that the Confederation would attack soon. Earth's first defensive line was positioned near Mars, hiding behind its moons and within the asteroid belt. Message from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Confederation fleet detected entering the solar system. Estimated time of arrival, 40 minutes. Liana took a deep breath. This is it, people. Remember your training. We may be new to interstellar war, but we've been fighting on Earth for thousands of years. That experience counts. The Confederation fleet appeared exactly where predicted. 30 sleek warships with technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. They moved in perfect formation, clearly expecting little resistance. They're not even trying to hide their approach, Liana observed. They don't consider us a real threat. Their mistake, her weapons officer replied with a grim smile. Liana activated the fleet communications. All ships, execute plan Thermopylae. Leonidas units take your positions. The Earth ships remained hidden as the alien fleet passed Mars. The plan was not to win this battle. That would be impossible. But to show the Confederation that humans would not be easy prey. They're within range, the tactical officer reported. Passing between Deimos and the belt, now. All ships fire, Liana ordered. The Earth vessels unleashed a barrage of missiles and railgun fire from multiple directions. The surprise attack caught the Confederation completely off guard. 3 of their smaller ships were damaged before they could raise shields. Direct hits, the weapons officer shouted. They're confused, trying to identify where the attack is coming from. The Confederation ships broke their neat formation, scrambling to respond to an attack style they had never experienced. They were used to formal space battles with clear lines and honorable head-to-head engagements. Move to secondary positions, Liana ordered as the Confederation began returning fire. The Earth ships quickly changed locations using the asteroids and Martian moons for cover. They're trying to surround us, the tactical officer warned. That's what we want, Liana replied. Spring the trap. As the Confederation ships moved to encircle what they thought was Earth's entire defense fleet, automated weapons platforms hidden throughout the asteroid belt activated. Hundreds of simple but effective missiles launched simultaneously, striking the alien vessels from behind. On the Confederation flagship, Admiral Kaleth watched in disbelief as his perfectly organized attack dissolved into chaos. What kind of warfare is this? He demanded of his tactical experts. They're using mining vessels as warships. They're hiding like predators and striking without honor. The humans are using tactics we've never seen before, one officer admitted. They're not following any standard combat protocols. Kaleth's second-in-command studied the battle data. They know they can't win with technology, so they're using the environment and surprise instead. Meanwhile, the ESS Defiant shook violently as a Confederation energy beam grazed its hull. Damage report, Liana called out. Hull breach on Deck C. Emergency shields holding, reported the damage control officer. 3 injured, but no casualties. They've found our position, the tactical officer warned. 2 enemy ships closing in. Liana quickly assessed their options. Emergency thrust, full power to forward shields. We're breaking through their line. The Defiant surged forward, directly toward the gap between 2 Confederation vessels. Itindi was a maneuver no alien commander would attempt, risking destruction to gain position. They're firing, the tactical officer shouted. Hold course, Liana ordered calmly. The ship shuddered under enemy fire, but the concentrated shields held just long enough for them to slip between the enemy vessels. Tell the Perseus and the Hercules to execute their runs now, Liana commanded. 2 more Earthships burst from hiding, following the path the Defiant had created. The 3 vessels escaped the encirclement, leaving the Confederation ships firing at each other in confusion. All remaining ships, begin withdrawal to Earth defense perimeter, Liana ordered. We've done what we came to do. The Battle of Deimos, as it would later be called, lasted less than 2 hours. Earth lost 7 ships and nearly 200 personnel. The Confederation lost 5 vessels and suffered damage to 12 others. It was not a victory in the traditional sense, but it was far from the easy conquest the Confederation had expected. On his flagship, Admiral Kaleth reviewed footage not of the battle, but of Earth itself. Children playing rough sports, soldiers training in extreme environments, historical reenactments of ancient battles. These humans, he said to his silent officers, have been preparing for war their entire evolutionary history, and they don't even know it. He paused the footage on an image of human children playing a game where they tackled each other to the ground, an activity that would hospitalize most Confederation species. We thought they were primitive because their technology is basic, Kaleth continued. But their bodies and minds are weapons shaped by a deadly world. They can endure pain that would kill our soldiers. They can improvise tactics no civilized species would consider. The Admiral made a decision. Withdraw the fleet to the outer system. We need to reconsider our approach. These Deathworlders are more dangerous than we anticipated. Back on Earth, Liana Vasquez reported to the United Defense Council. We've shown them that humans won't be conquered easily, she said. But this was just the beginning. The Confederation will be back and they'll be better prepared. General Hayes nodded. Then we'll need to be ready with more surprises. Good work, Commander. Liana looked at the casualty list from the battle. The next time they come, they'll know not to underestimate us. But they still don't understand what they're really fighting against. And what's that? Captain Mira Chen asked from her seat on the council. Liana looked up with determination. A species that has survived by adapting to every challenge our deadly planet has thrown at us for millions of years. They think they're the deadliest species in the galaxy? They haven't seen anything yet. 2 months after the Battle of Deimos, the war had reached a strange pause. The Confederation had withdrawn to the edges of the solar system, seemingly to reconsider their strategy. Earth used this valuable time to prepare, studying the alien technology they had captured during the battle. Dr. Elijah Okonkwo worked in his laboratory at the International Defense Research Center in Nairobi. At 42, he was Earth's leading xenobiologist, though until recently his work had been purely theoretical. Now he had actual alien biology to study. Dr. Okonkwo, you need to see this, his assistant called, looking up from a microscope. Elijah moved across the lab to examine the sample. They were testing how Confederation biological agents affected human cells. Fascinating, he said, studying the results. Their most lethal virus is barely affecting our cells. His team had been analyzing biological samples recovered from a damaged Confederation ship. What they discovered was surprising. The biological weapons that the aliens considered deadly were having minimal effect on human tissue. Run a comparison with the other mammalian samples, Elijah instructed. The results appeared on the large screen, showing how the same virus devastated the cells of other Earth animals. The virus destroys the test animals' cells, but barely touches human cells, his assistant noted with amazement. Elijah nodded. Humans have evolved alongside thousands of pathogens. Our immune systems have been fighting biological warfare since we first existed. In another section of the research center, Commander Wei Chen of Earth Intelligence reviewed their findings with the Defense Council. The room was filled with military and scientific leaders from around the world. The Confederation species evolved on what they call paradise worlds, Wei explained, displaying images of alien planets. Stable climates, few predators, limited diseases, and low gravity. Their bodies never needed to develop the resistances that humans have. Captain Mira Chen, now serving as the Council's diplomatic advisor, studied the images. So when they call Earth a death world, they're not exaggerating, Wei confirmed. By their standards, Earth is a nightmare. Our gravity is crushing to them. Our temperature variations would kill them. Our atmosphere contains elements they consider toxic. Dr. Okonkwo joined the meeting, bringing his latest findings. And most importantly, our microbial environment is like nothing they have experienced. Earth contains more pathogenic organisms than all their home planets combined. General Hayes looked thoughtful. Is that why their biological weapons aren't working against us? Exactly, Elijah confirmed. What they consider deadly weapons wouldn't even qualify as a serious disease on Earth. Most humans would experience mild symptoms at worst. In the medical wing of the center, a captured Confederation soldier was recovering from injuries. The alien watched with wide, disbelieving eyes as a human doctor performed surgery on another patient. You cut open your own bodies to repair them, deliberately? The alien asked Dr. Sarah Kimani, who was monitoring his recovery. Yes. Surgery is a common medical practice for us, she explained patiently. The alien's forearms trembled slightly. In the Confederation, such physical trauma would be fatal. Our bodies cannot recover from being opened. Dr. Kimani realized the significance of this. Your species never developed the ability to heal from major injuries because you rarely experience them on your home planets. Meanwhile, at the Confederation Fleet headquarters at the edge of the solar system, Admiral Kaleth faced growing concern from his War Council. The biological agents have failed, reported the science director. Human physiology appears resistant to our most effective weapons. How is this possible? Kaleth demanded. The science director displayed an analysis of Earth's biosphere. Their planet contains more toxic substances, predatory species, and environmental hazards than all our homeworlds combined. Humans have evolved alongside these dangers for millions of years. And now we've awakened them, Kaleth said quietly. Back-key. On Earth, the Defense Council met again to discuss their new understanding of their enemy. They evolved in sterile paradises, Wei Chen explained to the Council. We evolved in a microbial battleground. Our greatest weapon might be our biological, Uniqueness, not our technology. Can we use this advantage? General Hayes asked. Dr. Okonkwo nodded. We don't need to create biological weapons. We are the biological weapons from their perspective. Even our harmless bacteria could be devastating to their ships and colonies. Mira Chen raised her hand. We should be careful. We don't want to cause a pandemic that could wipe out entire species. Agreed, Elijah said. But we can create defensive measures. Barriers of harmless to us microbes that would keep their forces at bay. The Council approved a new strategy, creating biological shields around Earth's key installations and ships. It wasn't an offensive weapon, but a defensive barrier that would make it difficult for Confederation forces to board or invade Earth facilities. 2 weeks later, a Confederation scout ship attempted to infiltrate Earth's orbital defense station. The aliens wore protective suits, but even these weren't designed to handle Earth's microbial environment. Within hours, the boarding party fell ill and had to retreat. In his flagship, Admiral Kaleth received the disturbing report. They didn't even use weapons, his security chief explained. Just their natural environment. Kaleth reviewed footage of Earth again. This time he focused on natural disasters. Humans surviving floods, fires, earthquakes, and storms. Events that would end civilizations on paradise worlds were merely challenges humans overcame regularly. We've made a terrible mistake, Kaleth told his commanders. We thought their primitive technology made them weak, but they don't rely on technology for survival like we do. They're naturally resilient in ways we can't comprehend. One of his commanders spoke up. Should we withdraw completely? No, Kaleth decided. The Confederation never retreats, but we need a new approach. If we can't defeat them biologically or through conventional warfare, we must find another weakness. On Earth, Dr. Okonkwo shared a celebratory drink with Commander Wei after their biological barrier successfully repelled the Confederation boarding party. They'll be back, Wei warned, with a new strategy. Elijah nodded. Of course they will. But now they fear not just our weapons, but our bodies themselves. They see us as walking biological superweapons hardened by eons of evolutionary pressure. Wei smiled slightly. Isn't it ironic? They called themselves the deadliest species in the galaxy, but they've never faced anything like humans before. The real question is, Elijah said thoughtfully, what will they try next? And will we be ready for it? 6 months into the war, the conflict began to shift in unexpected ways. With direct military attacks and biological warfare proving ineffective, the Confederation turned to understanding their enemy better. They needed to know what made humans tick before they could defeat them. Cultural analyst Thrix, a 6-limbed being with translucent skin, had been assigned to study human culture. He sat in his research chamber aboard the Confederation flagship, surrounded by screens displaying Earth broadcast literature, music, and art. Have you completed your analysis? Admiral Kaleth asked as he entered the chamber. Thrix's skin pulsed with nervous light patterns. Admiral, I have, but I'm not sure you'll believe my findings. Explain, Kaleth demanded. Thrix gestured to the screens. Humans create fictional scenarios about war, disaster, and apocalypse for entertainment. They imagine terrible futures as a form of amusement. The Admiral stared at scenes from action movies, disaster films, and post-apocalyptic stories. They find destruction entertaining? More than that, Thrix continued. Their children play games simulating conflict. They have been mentally preparing for catastrophe their entire history. Kaleth studied a clip of children playing a video game involving strategy and combat. These are training simulations? No, Admiral. Recreation. Thrix's skin darkened with concern. While our young learn harmony and cooperation, human children compete and simulate warfare for fun. On Earth, Captain Marcus Jackson led a special operations team focused on psychological warfare. At 38, he had spent his career in military intelligence before being assigned to the Confederation conflict. Our latest intelligence suggests the aliens are deeply disturbed by our entertainment, Marcus told his team at their headquarters. beneath the Rocky Mountains. They can't understand why we create stories about surviving disasters. Because we've always had to survive them, replied Lieutenant Patel. Natural disasters, wars, plagues, our history is full of overcoming catastrophes. Marcus nodded. Exactly, and now we can use that to our advantage. His team had developed a plan to broadcast human culture throughout Confederation space, not as a weapon, but as a form of psychological operation, letting the enemy see how humans thought and what they valued. We'll transmit music, literature, art, and entertainment, Marcus explained. Not propaganda, just our authentic culture. Let them see who they're really fighting against. The Earth Defense Council approved the plan, and soon human cultural broadcasts were being beamed toward Confederation territories. The results were unexpected and far-reaching. On Lorien, a Confederation core world, teenager Kalin secretly watched human music videos with friends in their living pod. They're so intense, Kalin whispered as they watched humans dancing energetically. The way they move, the emotions they express. It's nothing like our calm melodies. My parent would disconnect me from the network if they knew we were watching this, Kalin's friend replied, but couldn't look away. Similar scenes played out across Confederation space. While the government tried to block human cultural transmissions, calling them psychological warfare, many citizens found ways to access them anyway. Young Confederation members were particularly drawn to the raw emotion and intensity of human expression. Back on the flagship, Thrix showed Admiral Kaleth a disturbing new development. Intercepted images of Confederation youth wearing jackets emblazoned with "human" in English letters. It's becoming a symbol of rebellion, Thrix explained. They see humans as free, passionate, and authentic, qualities our structured society sometimes lacks. Kaleth's face darkened. This is worse than we feared. The humans are conquering us without firing a shot. Meanwhile, on Earth, Marcus received reports of the cultural impact. We never expected this, he told the Defense Council. They're not just afraid of our resilience. Some of them admire it. Commander Wei Chen nodded. Our psychological endurance is another advantage they didn't anticipate. Their soldiers require extensive recovery after battle, while humans demonstrate remarkable ability to process trauma and continue functioning. They've been telling stories about overcoming apocalypse for centuries, observed Thrix in his report to Confederation leadership. Perhaps because they always expected to face one. This insight led to a new understanding of human nature. The Confederation had assumed that a species from a death world would be merciless and aggressive. Instead, they found a complex mixture of cooperation and competition, violence and compassion, struggle and art. The war entered a strange phase. Direct conflicts decreased as the Confederation reassessed their approach. Instead, both sides engaged in cultural exchange and intelligence gathering. Some Confederation members began questioning their leaders' wisdom in provoking Earth in the first place. In a secure communication facility in Geneva, Mira Chen received an unexpected message. It was from Admiral Kaleth himself, requesting a private communication channel. Captain Chen, Kaleth's image flickered on the screen. We may have misjudged your species. Mira kept her expression neutral. In what way, Admiral? We assumed a death world would produce only monsters, but you've created beauty from your struggles. Your art, your music, your stories, they speak of hope in darkness. This is not what we expected. Humans have always found ways to create meaning, even in difficult circumstances, Mira replied. It's how we survive. Kaleth seemed to consider this. Our cultural analysts believe this war may be unnecessary. Perhaps there is another way forward. As the call ended, Mira immediately reported to the Defense Council. General Hayes looked skeptical. It could be a trick, he warned. Possibly, Mira agreed, but I believe they genuinely didn't understand us. They feared what they didn't know. Marcus Jackson's team continued monitoring Confederation communications. Their leadership is divided, he reported. Some want to continue the war, but others are pushing for a new approach. Dr. Okonkwo, who had joined the council as a scientific advisor, smiled slightly. It seems our greatest weapon wasn't our military strength or even our biological resilience. Then what was it? General Hayes asked. Our stories, Dr. Okonkwo replied. Our ability to imagine better worlds even while living on a death world. Our capacity to find joy and create beauty despite hardship. These concepts are revolutionary to species that never had to struggle. As human broadcasts continued to spread through Confederation space, more aliens began questioning the war. What had started as a military conflict was transforming into a cultural revolution that neither side had anticipated. The deadliest species in the galaxy was proving deadly not through violence, but through ideas. With both sides facing mounting losses and growing internal pressure, the conflict had reached a critical point. After 8 months of war, neither Earth nor the Confederation had achieved a decisive victory. It was time for a new approach. Dr. Amara Osi stood before the Earth Defense Council in their underground chamber. At 45, she was the world's foremost expert in game theory and strategic negotiation. Traditional warfare isn't working for either side, Amara explained, gesturing to the holographic displays showing battle statistics. The Confederation has superior technology, but we have tactical flexibility and biological advantages. This could drag on for years with massive casualties on both sides. General Hayes frowned. What alternative do you suggest, Doctor? Surrender is not an option. Not surrender, Amara said with a confident smile. Competition. Her proposal was bold. Instead of continued warfare, Earth would challenge the Confederation to a series of trials to resolve the conflict. Physical contests, strategic puzzles, and endurance tests that would draw on the strengths of all participating species. The Confederation values order and rules, Amara explained. Their entire society is built on structured competition between member worlds. We can use that cultural value to our advantage. Captain Mira Chen, who had been studying Confederation culture, nodded in agreement. They might accept this. It allows them to save face. Without continuing a war, they're beginning to realize they can't easily win. The council debated the proposal for hours. Some military leaders were skeptical, preferring to continue the conventional fight. Others saw the wisdom in finding an alternative path forward. Finally, General Hayes made the decision. We'll send the proposal, but we continue preparing for war in case they refuse. 2 days later, Mira Chen sat in a heavily guarded communication room, facing a screen showing Admiral Kaleth. The Confederation leader looked tired, his blue skin paler than in previous communications. Your proposal is unusual, Kaleth said after hearing Earth's suggestion. Wars are not typically resolved through games. This wouldn't be games, Mira clarified. These would be serious trials testing the true capabilities of our species. The winner would set the terms for peace. Kaleth's 4 arms moved in what humans had learned was a gesture of consideration. Why should we accept this instead of continuing the war? Because your predictive models must be showing what ours show, Mira said directly. A prolonged conflict with massive casualties and no clear victor. This offers a path to resolution that honors the Confederation's values of structured competition. After a long pause, Kaleth nodded slowly. I will present this to the High Council. They may find it acceptable. 3 weeks later, representatives from Earth and the Confederation met on a neutral space station positioned between Mars and Jupiter. The competition of worlds, as it came to be called, would consist of 7 challenges testing different aspects of ability and intelligence. Dr. Amara Ose had designed the trials carefully, incorporating elements that would allow all species to compete fairly. Some tests favored physical strength, others mental agility. Some required teamwork, others individual excellence. The first challenge begins tomorrow, Amara told the Earth team, led by Commander Sophia Reyes, a decorated Special Forces officer. Remember, this isn't just about winning. The whole galaxy is watching to learn what kind of species we really are. The Confederation had sent their champion Zakor, a 4-armed warrior from a heavy gravity world, considered one of their most adaptable fighters. His team included specialists from various member species. The first challenge was a navigation test through an asteroid field. The Confederation's superior technology gave them an advantage, but Sophia's team showed remarkable adaptability when their navigation systems were deliberately disrupted as part of the test. Switching to manual control, Sophia ordered calmly when their computers failed. Her pilot, trained in Earth's chaotic weather patterns, guided their ship through the asteroids using visual cues and instinct. They finished just behind the Confederation team, a result that surprised the alien spectators. They had expected humans to be helpless without technology. The second challenge tested endurance in hostile environments. Here, humans excelled, withstanding temperature extremes that left the Confederation participants struggling. Earth won this round decisively. As the competition continued, billions watched across Earth and Confederation space. The contest became a cultural phenomenon, with viewers on both sides gaining new respect for their former enemies. By the fifth challenge, a complex strategic simulation, the teams were tied at 2 victories each. This challenge would test not just strategy, but adaptability. Environmental conditions changing, announced the neutral monitor as the simulation began. This unexpected twist wasn't in the rules. The Confederation team protested immediately. This violates the established parameters, Zikor argued. Sophia, however, nodded to her team. Adapt to the new conditions. This is what humans do best. While the Confederation participants struggled with the changing simulation, arguing about proper procedures, the human team quickly adjusted their strategy. Their experience with Earth's unpredictable environments had prepared them for exactly this kind of situation. Humans are showing remarkable flexibility, cultural analyst Thyrix commented to Admiral Kaleth as they watched. They don't seem disturbed by the changing rules. Because their world never gave them consistent rules, Kaleth replied thoughtfully. Their planet constantly changes. Seasons, weather, natural disasters. They evolved, expecting change. The final challenge was an endurance race across the surface of Europa. Both teams had performed well, with the competition tied at 3 victories each. This would determine the outcome. Halfway through the race, disaster struck. Champion Zikor collapsed, his environmental suit malfunctioning in Europa's extreme cold. His team was too far behind to help quickly. Sophia, leading the human team and just ahead of Zikor, saw him fall. Without hesitation, she turned back. "What are you doing?" her teammate shouted through the radio. "We're about to win." "He'll die if we don't help," Sophia replied simply, reaching the fallen alien. Zikor looked up in confusion as Sophia repaired his suit and administered emergency medical care from her own supplies. "Why help your enemy?" he asked weakly. "Because we value life, even in war," she answered. "Maybe especially in war." This moment, broadcast across Confederation space, shifted public opinion dramatically. The species they had feared as deadly monsters had shown compassion when victory was within their grasp. The race ended with neither team finishing first. The humans had sacrificed their lead to save Zikor, and the Confederation team had stopped to help both of them return safely. As the competition of worlds concluded without a clear victor, the Confederation High Council reconvened in emergency session. "We misunderstood them," High Chancellor Zelon admitted to the assembled leaders. "We saw a species evolved on a death world and assumed they would be merciless predators. Instead, we found beings whose very struggle for survival taught them the value of cooperation and compassion alongside competition." A new path forward began to emerge, not victory for either side, but a partnership that would benefit both. 1 year after the disastrous first contact that had begun with a misunderstanding and a hasty declaration of war, representatives from Earth and the Galactic Confederation gathered once again. This time, they met in the same United Nations spaceport, where it had all started, but the atmosphere couldn't have been more different. High Chancellor Zelon, who had replaced Zexatral after the failed war effort, stood before the Earth delegation. Unlike his predecessor, Zelon displayed a more thoughtful demeanor. His blue skin shifting through subtle patterns that humans now understood indicated deep consideration. People of Earth, Zelon began, his translator conveying his words clearly. 1 year ago, a terrible misunderstanding led us to conflict. Today, we come not to continue that conflict, but to propose an alliance. The Earth representatives, led by Mira Chen, listened carefully. After the competition of worlds had ended without a clear victor, both sides had engaged in cautious diplomatic talks for 3 months. We misunderstood you, Zelon continued. We saw a species evolved on a death world and assumed you would be merciless predators. Instead, we found beings whose very struggle for survival taught them the value of cooperation and innovation. Mira stepped forward. The Confederation's technology is impressive. Earth has much to learn from your scientific achievements. But we will not enter any relationship as a subordinate member. Zelon's skin rippled with what humans now recognized as agreement. Of course not. The Confederation proposes a privileged alliance with Earth, equal standing with mutual benefits. After years of isolation, humanity was being offered a place among the stars, but the memories of conflict were still fresh, and trust would take time to build. General Hayes voiced the concerns many felt. How do we know this isn't a strategy to lower our defenses? A fair question, Zelon acknowledged. We propose beginning with cultural and scientific exchange. Military cooperation can develop later as trust grows. After extensive negotiation, Earth accepted the alliance with clear conditions ensuring autonomy and equal standing. The treaty signing was broadcast around the world and across Confederation space. As the diplomatic teams worked out the details, something unexpected began to happen. Confederation species started seeking human expertise in survival, adaptation, and crisis management. Dr. Elijah Okonkwo found himself hosting delegations of alien scientists eager to learn about Earth's biological diversity and human immune responses. Your bodies contain solutions to problems our species never had to solve, one alien researcher told him with reverence. Commander Wei Chen was surprised when Confederation military strategists requested training in human tactical thinking. You see possibilities we cannot imagine, they explained. Your species never assumes there is only one path forward. Most surprising was the demand for human consultants to help paradise worlds prepare for environmental changes and potential threats. Species that had evolved in stable environments had little experience adapting to change, and climate fluctuations that would be minor on Earth could be catastrophic for them. 6 months into the alliance, construction began on the Interspecies Academy on Mars. The facility would serve as a center for knowledge exchange, where humans would teach resilience, adaptability, and crisis management, while learning advanced technologies from their new allies. It's ironic, Commander Sophia Reyes told Zikor as they toured the construction site together. The Confederation champion had become an unexpected friend after she had saved his life during the competition. You called us the deadliest species in the galaxy, but now you want us to teach you our ways. Zikor's forearms made a gesture of amused agreement. We meant it as an insult, but perhaps it was always a recognition of your strength. The ability to survive on a world that would kill most of us is something to admire. Meanwhile, the first human ships equipped with Confederation technology prepared for exploration beyond the solar system. Earth's dream of reaching the stars was becoming reality faster than anyone had imagined. We still need to be cautious, General Hayes warned during a Defense Council meeting. Not all Confederation members may share this new perspective on humans. True, Mira agreed. Building trust will take generations, but we've begun that process. Captain Marcus Jackson, who had led the cultural exchange program during the war, now headed the new interspecies communication department. Both sides are learning from each other, he reported. Their rigid thinking is becoming more flexible, and our sometimes chaotic approaches are becoming more structured. It's a healthy balance. On the day the Interspecies Academy officially opened, Captain Mira Chen stood before a crowd of students from 100 different worlds. As the person whose refusal of a territorial bribe had inadvertently started the war, it seemed fitting that she would become the Academy's first director. 1 year ago, she began, looking out at the diverse gathering. A misunderstanding led to conflict. Today, that same misunderstanding has led to partnership. The audience, a colorful mix of species from across the galaxy, listened attentively. The deadliest species in the galaxy turns out to be the one that evolved not just to fight, but to endure, adapt, and ultimately, to understand others. Our capacity for empathy alongside our tenacity makes us not the galaxy's most dangerous predators, but perhaps its most valuable protectors. In the audience, Admiral Kaleth, now serving as the Confederation's liaison to Earth, reflected on the strange journey that had brought them here. He had begun by fearing humans as deadly monsters from a nightmare world. Now he saw them as essential allies against a universe filled with challenges. As the first class of mixed-species cadets began their training, human instructors teaching survival skills while alien experts shared advanced sciences, a new era of cooperation took shape. Former enemies now stood together as partners, each bringing unique strengths to the alliance. The species that had evolved on a death world had indeed proven deadly, but not in the way anyone had expected. Humans' deadliest quality wasn't their capacity for violence, but their ability to transform adversity into strength and turn enemies into friends. High Chancellor Zelon, watching the Academy's opening ceremony from the Confederation capital, turned to his advisors with a thought that captured the journey of the past year. Perhaps the universe doesn't need fewer Deathworlders, he said thoughtfully. Perhaps it needs more of them to teach the rest of us how to survive.